Hey guys, it's Matt Duckworth again, duckworth.info, and today's video, this is part of one of our blog posts, is what is a checklist? I got a question first on Quora from a guy who's asking, what is a checklist that I could go through to know that I should launch this startup idea? And like, what do I need to be thinking about whenever I do this? So I answered, and this is kind of the thought process that not just me, but I learned this framework. It's a thought framework from a guy named Jeff Sandifer, who founded Sandifer Oil. He's now the founder of the Acton Academy, which is a really rapidly growing K through 12 program. It's one of the fastest growing in the United States, I think. He's so Harvard MBA guy. He learned this from a guy named Bill Solomon, who's a really well-known valuation guy and Harvard dude. So I'm just going to launch into it because it's really interesting. This is what they teach us in whenever I went to Acton, and it's really simple. There's 4 parts to this that make up a good opportunity, and so we're going to try to go through and check the box on all these different ones. So first, about the opportunity. Will people actually buy this? That's a big question, right? A lot of people will launch products and nobody will actually buy it. So we got to figure out if there's a demand for it. Can we produce this and get it to the customer at a price that allows us to make money? So what's the margin on it? Is that good enough to justify us really launching this thing? A lot of people jump into business and they don't know if they're going to make money, and so it's dangerous. It's more risky doing stuff like that. So we want to be able to kind of like game out what this business is going to look like whenever we get to where we want to go. And at that level, will this thing make money? Will it spit out cash from the bottom of it? So if those two, we kind of get past those 2 points, got through number 1, number 2. Is this something that we can kind of defend against copycats? Can we create like a moat around our little castle and prevent people from coming in and taking this opportunity from us? And if there's no defenses, man, it's a little bit, maybe there's a different way that we can protect that opportunity. So either moving fast or doing something through a partnership, but we want to think about, is this defensible? And then finally, timing. A lot of people who, especially in the venture capital community, who've been in it a long time, will tell you that you can have a great business idea, but if it's the wrong time, it's going to fail. You can have a business idea that people have launched time and time again, and you just launch it at the right time, and you're going to be super successful. So there's lots of examples of that throughout history. And so we really want to be able to nail the timing. We want to really think about, is this the right time to do this? What's causing it to be the right time? It's usually like a convergence of technology that makes it really simple, where the right technology is cheap enough and it's in enough people's hands to where something can happen. So that's typically how these things happen. So that's opportunity. Once we've kind of checked off on opportunity, we move on to people. And we start kind of, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you got a startup, you're going to go out a lot of times and have to recruit people to your team to get on the bus and help you launch this thing. So whenever you're looking at the people who you want to bring onto the bus, can they execute is a really important part of this. If they can't execute, they're dead weight, and you can't bring them on the team, right? Even if they're really smart, they offer a lot of good ideas. If they can't execute, you don't need them. You can hire the really smart person as an advisor, right? Do they have good character? So do they have drive, determination, integrity? Do they have good character? If they don't have great character, you don't want to hitch the next probably maybe 10 years of your life to that person's wagon. Go ahead and get out of that relationship right now. Good character makes everything easier because it allows you to communicate with trust, right? Whenever you're in a startup, you have to say a lot of hard things. You have to go through a lot of different challenging things. It's going to get extremely hard, and whenever things get really hard with people who don't have great integrity, they will do things that are a little bit wishy-washy. And a lot of times you'll regret that decision. You don't want to regret it 5 years into your relationship with them. So they got to have character. And then, do they have industry experience, and do they have experience running a business? If your product requires industry experience, if it's an old school market that has been there for a long time and you need industry experience, that's important. And ideally, you want that person to have run a business before. If they have, there's the chances of you being successful are just so much higher, because there's so many things that you can't learn it unless you've run a business before. So, have they run a business before? And if you're going to raise money, do they have experience raising money? Because that can often be a go, no-go kind of decision. So we looked at the opportunity. Opportunity is good. We got the right people on board. All right. How do we slice up the pie? So we're talking about deals now. So are our incentives aligned? Is the way that people are being compensated align with the way that they want to be compensated, and the way that the the work that the organization needs them to do, that those things all align. So, for example, incentivizing somebody on revenue and then giving the ability to kind of change price. Well, in some businesses that might be okay, but let's say that you're in a chemical manufacturing business where your margins are really might be kind of tiny. Well, if you had a person who would just give away margin to be able to get the sale because they get incentivized off of revenue, they're going to eat up a lot of profit that goes to the company. And so that would be bad. You want their incentives to be such that they're doing what everybody needs them to do to make the entire company successful. So are the incentives properly aligned? If you're going to bring on investors, do they bring more than just money? So money's good, but you want investors who can maybe bring new customers, bring expertise. So let's say that you launched a manufacturing business. Maybe the investor that you invest with has really great knowledge of automation, robotics, process like 5S, Six Sigma, Lean, those sort of things. And so that could be a really great add-on to your team, plus the money. It creates more value, makes the pie bigger, right? So the other thing is, look at what your people want most. So a lot of times people don't want, maybe they don't want equity. You're so worried about, I don't want to give up all this equity. Maybe a lot of times if you talk to people, what they really want most is opportunity to make an impact. Maybe it is maybe it's stability. And so maybe there's something that you can do to structure a deal so that they get those things that they value most. So whenever you're looking at a deal, you want to think about that and be strategic about it. And then finally, how do you value this opportunity? How do you value it in a way that makes sense for everybody? So once you've got the deal locked up, then you're thinking about, how do we set up systems that drive us towards our goal, right? We want to know that we're on track towards something. So the big questions are, do we have systems in place to inspire people, to reward them whenever they've done something well, to set boundaries so that they know, okay, you can go up to here, but you can't go any farther. Here's the consequences of going outside those boundaries, and to measure progress. And we want this to all be open and set up front, right? If we don't measure progress up front, we run into problems. And it makes it much more harder to have tough conversations about where we're at, and things get off track. So the other piece is, which priorities do we set? And so in any business, there's going to be a set of priorities to set, and you're going to have all sorts of different options that you can pick. But one's going to be the best, right? And everybody has to agree on these and push towards them, because people can't be rowing in different directions in the same boat. So you have to figure out, which priorities do you set? Is it raising money? Is it building product, customer validation, things like that? And so once you have those priorities set, that influences all this, and influences a lot of this other stuff too. So if you can get through the opportunity, the people, the deal, and the system, you're in a position to launch. And if you can't check the box on all of these and feel comfortable in all of these, then just know that you're taking more risks than maybe you need to, and it might be wise to try to take a little bit more time and work on the boxes that you've not been able to check. But if you follow that framework, you'll be much more likely to be successful as an entrepreneur and launching a business. So, thanks. This is duckworth.info, and there should be below this video or somewhere around here a link. So follow us, like us, and subscribe, and see you guys later.